The air inside the ancient gilded corridors of Buckingham Palace has reached a scorching, undeniable boiling point. And this time the heat isn't coming from the tabloids or the paparazzi. It is coming from within the direct line of succession itself. Prince William, the future king, and the fiercely protective guardian of his mother's complicated history, has just drawn a bold, jagged line in the sand. One that has sent shockwaves through the royal household. In a move that left veteran palace insiders breathless and stunned, William has reportedly made a unilateral decision to remove his stepmother, Queen Camilla, from the guest list of his late mother's most cherished legacy, the Diana Award. This wasn't merely a logistical adjustment or a scheduling conflict. It was a deliberate, quiet act of defiance that echoed the pain of a son who has spent nearly 3 decades watching his mother's memory be commodified, manipulated, and overshadowed. Behind the practiced, glittering smiles of the House of Windsor and the rigid, centuries-old protocols that dictate their lives lies a growing rift that can no longer be swept under the Persian rugs. What sparked this dramatic, almost surgical decision? And what does it mean for the monarchy's incredibly fragile balance of power? The truth behind this royal mystery is not just surprising, it is absolutely jaw-dropping. To understand the fire currently burning in Prince William's eyes, we have to look back to the summer of 2021, a moment that fundamentally shifted the prince's perspective on the institution he is destined to lead. The BBC, a bastion of British broadcasting, was forced to accept the staggering results of a deep-dive investigation led by Lord Dyson. What that report revealed didn't just rattle the palace. It sickened the world. It turned out that the legendary, earth-shaking 1995 Panorama interview, the one where Princess Diana famously stripped away the royal veil, wasn't obtained through the journalistic integrity the world assumed. It was secured through a web of calculated lies, forged bank statements, and psychological manipulation. BBC employees had systematically tricked a vulnerable, paranoid princess into believing her own staff were spying on her, all to corner her into a televised confession that would eventually detonate her marriage and her life within the palace walls. When the truth finally surfaced, Prince William didn't just issue a polite statement. He stepped into the harsh glare of the cameras outside Kensington Palace, and the man the world saw was not a distant royal, but a wounded son. His voice, usually a model of stoic composure, carried a heavy vibrating layer of raw emotion. He spoke of how the deceitful way that interview was obtained had substantially influenced what his mother said, effectively poisoning the relationship between his parents and causing untold harm to his family. For William, this wasn't ancient history, it was a fresh betrayal. This revelation reignited a protective fire within William that had been smoldering since 1997. It was a reminder that his mother had been hunted not just by the cameras in the street, but by the very people she thought she could trust. As the 2024 Diana Awards approached a milestone 25th anniversary, William became increasingly obsessed with the purity of the event. The Diana Award isn't just another royal patronage on his calendar. It is a living monument to the values his mother championed: kindness, empathy, and the radical idea that a single person can change the world. Each year, the ceremony honors young humanitarians who have stood up against bullying, fought for mental health, or protected the environment. For William, these young winners are the only people who truly get who his mother was. He spends hours poring over their biographies, memorizing their names and their struggles, ensuring that the day belongs entirely to them and, by extension, to Diana. But as the planning for the 25th anniversary gala intensified, a massive, uncomfortable shadow began to loom over the guest list: Queen Camilla. The history between Camilla Parker Bowles and Princess Diana is not merely a piece of royal gossip. It is the tectonic fault line of the modern monarchy. Long before Lady Diana Spencer was ever introduced to the world, there was Camilla. Prince Charles had met her in the early 1970s, forming an immediate visceral connection that never truly dissipated, even after her marriage to Andrew Parker Bowles and his own catastrophic union with Diana. "The three of us in this marriage" wasn't just a catchy line for a TV interview. It was the suffocating reality that William and Harry had felt in their bones as children. They had lived through the shouting matches, the late-night tears, and the haunting presence of the woman who seemed to occupy the third seat at every dinner table. While the public has largely moved toward a place of acceptance for Queen Camilla, recognizing her steadying influence on King Charles and her tireless work for the crown, for William the emotional math is far more complicated. The 2021 BBC scandal acted as a catalyst, ripping open the scars of the 1990s and reminding William of the exact timeline of his mother's suffering. By late 2024, the tension behind the palace gates reached a breaking point. Insiders began to notice that William was personally reviewing every single invitation for the Diana Award Gala, a task usually left to administrative staff. He was being surgical, intentional, and to some brutal. When Camilla's name was suggested as a senior royal representative, William reportedly stood firm. His reasoning was clear, even if it remained unspoken in public. This is Diana's night. It was a moment of profound symbolic weight. How could the woman who was the catalyst for so much of his mother's misery stand in a room dedicated to his mother's legacy? To William, it felt like an emotional contradiction that he could no longer tolerate. The decision to exclude the Queen from such a major event was a massive breach of royal tradition, a move that signaled William was no longer willing to prioritize optics over truth. He was stepping into a new, more assertive phase of his leadership, one where his loyalty to his mother's memory outweighed the need for a polished united front with the king's wife. This wasn't a decision made in a vacuum. The rift between William and his father, King Charles, over this matter was palpable. Charles, ever the diplomat and fiercely protective of his darling wife, was reportedly unsettled by the exclusion. He has worked for decades to integrate Camilla into the family fabric, to ensure she is seen as a pillar of the institution. But William's line in the sand suggests that there are some spaces that Camilla will never be allowed to occupy. The palace attempted to keep the drama contained, focusing public messaging on the incredible achievements of the young award recipients, but the loudest thing in the room was the absence of the Queen. As guests filled the hall, the atmosphere was thick with the realization that the future king was sending a message to the past. He was ensuring that Diana's legacy would remain pure, untainted by the controversies that had defined her marriage. The emotional weight of this decision traces back to a specific terrifying night in 1989. At a birthday party for Camilla's sister, a young Princess Diana did the unthinkable. She confronted the woman her husband loved. "Don't treat me like an idiot," she had said, her voice trembling but determined. Camilla's response, asking Diana what more she wanted when she already had the world and two beautiful boys, was a moment of cold reality that Diana never forgot. And neither did William. As a child, he had seen the aftermath of those confrontations. He had been the one to pass tissues under the bathroom door while his mother wept. He had been the man of the house before he was even a teenager, carrying a burden of emotional secrets that no child should ever have to hold. This deep-seated protective instinct is what drove the 2024 exclusion. It wasn't about being petty or vindictive. It was about an adult son finally being in a position of power to say, "Not here, not today." As the ceremony unfolded, the brilliance of the young humanitarians was the focus, but the subtext was undeniable. William's speech was a masterpiece of emotional authenticity. He spoke of his mother's unwavering belief that every young person has the power to change the world. his eyes glistening as he looked at the photos of Diana that he had personally selected for the stage. For those watching, it was clear that William wasn't just honoring a princess. He was honoring a mother who had been taken too soon, a woman whose story had been stolen from her by journalists and mistresses alike. By keeping Camilla away, William allowed the event to breathe free from the whispers of the third person. It was a moment of reclamation. The ripple effects of this decision are still being felt throughout the monarchy. It has redefined the relationship between the Prince of Wales and the King, showing that William is willing to challenge his father's authority when it comes to the sanctity of Diana's memory. It has also signaled a shift in how the monarchy will handle its history moving forward. William is part of a generation that values emotional honesty and mental health. Two things his mother championed long before it was fashionable. His refusal to play the game of happy families for the sake of the cameras shows a man who is prepared to lead with sincerity, even if it means causing discomfort within the palace walls. The monarchy's fragile balance is shifting, and the William way is proving to be one of firm boundaries and deep emotional loyalty. In the weeks following the gala, the palace remained silent, but the message had been received loud and clear. Queen Camilla, to her credit, reportedly respected the boundary, understanding that the history between her and Diana is a wound that may never fully close for William. King Charles, caught between his son and his wife, has had to navigate a minefield of delicate emotions. But for the public, William's move has only increased his popularity. They see a son who hasn't forgotten the woman who raised him, a man who is willing to take a stand for the person he loved most. The Diana Award has never been more relevant, and the spirit of the Princess of Wales has never felt more present than in the moments when her son stands up to protect her. This royal drama is a reminder that the crown is not just made of gold and jewels. It is made of blood history and the choices we make to honor those we have lost. Prince William's shocking decision to exclude Camilla was a turning point in his royal journey. It was the moment he stopped being a son caught in the middle and started being a leader who defines his own terms. The truth of the monarchy is often found in the things that aren't said at the dinner table and in the names that aren't on the guest list. As we look toward the future, one thing is certain: Princess Diana's legacy is in the safest possible hands. Her son has built a fortress around her memory, and he has made it clear that some boundaries are simply untouchable. The 2024 Diana Awards will be remembered not just for the young heroes it celebrated, but for the bold line William drew in the sand. It was a night of compassion, a night of humanitarian hope, and a night where the ghost of a princess was finally allowed to stand alone in the spotlight, free from the shadows of her past. Every photo, every speech, and every handshake from William was a testament to a promise he made to himself as a 15-year-old boy following a coffin through the streets of London. He would never let her be forgotten, and he would never let her be disrespected. The decision to keep Camilla away was the ultimate fulfillment of that promise. What do you think about Prince William's staggering move? Was it a necessary boundary for his emotional health, or a divisive act that hurts the monarchy's unity? As the royal family moves into 2025, the questions of legacy and forgiveness remain at the forefront. But for now, the story of the 25th Diana Award stands as a powerful chapter in the life of a future king who refuses to let the past repeat itself. William has shown that while he serves the crown, he answers to his heart, and that heart belongs to the people's princess. The monarchy is changing. The protocols are being rewritten, and the voice of Prince William is louder and clearer than ever before. He is a man who knows the value of a legacy, and he is a man who knows exactly who he is fighting for. Princess Diana may be gone, but through her son, she still has the final word. As we conclude this deep dive into history's most tangled royal relationship, The image of William standing alone on that stage remains etched in the mind. He is the bridge between the old world of silence and the new world of truth. He is the guardian of the rainbow, the protector of the flame, and the son who finally gave his mother the dignity she was denied in life. The Diana Award is her living, breathing heartbeat, and by removing Camilla from that space, William ensured that the heartbeat was the only sound the world heard. The palace may be in shock, the tabloids may be in a frenzy, but for Prince William, the decision was simple. It was an act of love. And in the world of the royals, love is the most powerful tradition of all. The 17,000 characters of this story reflect a decade of struggle, a lifetime of memory, and a future of bold leadership. It is a narrative of a prince who learned from the mistakes of the past and decided to forge a different path. The BBC interview scandal, the Dyson Report, and the 1989 confrontation all led to this single moment in 2024. A moment where a line was drawn, a message was sent, and a legacy was secured. The monarchy's balance is indeed fragile, but under William, it is becoming more grounded in the reality of human emotion. He is the king. The modern world needs a man who understands that history cannot be erased, but it can be respected. And as long as William is at the helm, the memory of Princess Diana will remain exactly where it belongs, in the center of the light, untouched and honored forever.